transforming industries through blockchain innovations. Challenges, opportunities, and successful projects. The impact that blockchain has had on industry. Marc Taverner, Bitfury.
Well, good morning, everybody. Follow that, huh? So 2 things I'll agree with from that. Number 1, when John said we should start using Bitcoin, we should. All of you who have got Bitcoin in your wallets, start spending it. You can find stores, you can find restaurants here. In fact, just across from my hotel, there's a restaurant called Caviar and Bull. If you want to go and eat, go drink, even go smoke a cigar, they take Bitcoin. The second thing I'll agree with is the statement that I think was made by John again, which is 1 in 10 or 9 out of 10 companies are not as solid as they should be in this space. So that means 1 out of 10 is probably a reputable, solid company with a strong background. And that's where we as Bitfury come in. So my name is Marc, as you saw. I work for a company called Bitfury. We were established in 2011, which makes us one of the longest serving Bitcoin or blockchain companies in this space. We have about 500 people working in our company across 16 countries. And we have data centers that process transactions in 5 different countries now. So I've been asked to speak to you about some of the large implementations of blockchain. And I'm going to talk to you about a few examples. But before I do, I want to come back to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Because as far as I'm concerned, to date, the largest implementation of a successful blockchain platform is cryptocurrency. Bitcoin has been around for coming up for 10 years now. We celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Satoshi white paper just a couple of days ago. Hands up all of you who bought some Bitcoin to celebrate. At a blockchain conference? Really? Guys, come on. Hands up those of you who celebrated yesterday, 1 November, with a legislation being passed here in Malta, huh? Wow, blockchain conference, no one's celebrating, or you just daren't admit it. So my view would be very strongly that cryptocurrencies, and in particular Bitcoin, is one of the most successful applications to date of blockchain technologies. And as Bitfury, we're very proud to be processing up to 11% of the global Bitcoin transactions. So that's securing these transactions and conducting mining across our infrastructure. And some of the other applications that we've built out at significant scale now allow those who are interested to access this space. So we design and manufacture our own hardware, and we package that up into interesting opportunities for anybody who wants to get into this space. So if you are a fund, if you're an exchange, if you're a high net worth individual, we can sell you our chips and our reference design, and you can go and build your own mining machines and deploy them. But perhaps you don't have the technical knowledge, actually, from the show of hands about how many have bought Bitcoin or how many have been out celebrating. Maybe you don't have that technical knowledge. So if you don't want to get involved, just on the screen there, you can see what is a 40-foot shipping container that we have created as a portable Bitcoin mining solution. So we can sell these instances of this asset to individuals, to funds, and to organizations who want to get involved in this space. We can deploy those in one of our data centers across Iceland, Norway, the USA, Canada, and the Republic of Georgia, and we can provide a managed service. So if you are interested in that space, you don't have to touch the technology. You simply collect the Bitcoins that it mines on a monthly basis. We take care of the management, but you own the asset. So as far as we're concerned, that's a pretty large deployment of blockchain technology as an application. It provides an access point for those who want to gain some exposure to this asset class, as it's now being called, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But what I've been asked to talk to you about today is more of a focus on the software side that's been termed blockchain, and what are the solutions that we provide there. So given that we call ourselves a full-service blockchain company, which extends through from processing transaction to building our own hardware, to selling that hardware to high net worths, all the way to the back end of building software solutions for governments, for whole countries, for exchanges to do analytics and KYC and AML, and something called a Lightning Network, which allows microtransactions to occur as a side chain on the Bitcoin blockchain. We have a range of 3 software solutions, some of which I'd like to talk to you about today. So the first one is land registry. We've been very busy around the world working with governments to create land registry solutions using blockchain that solve some of the problems that are present. And those problems really are based around trust. Trust between citizens and the government is something which has been eroded. There was a really interesting study conducted by Edelman. I think it was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. If you Google it on the web, you'll see, but a shockingly large number of those respondents, close to 60% of the respondents, indicated that they had close to 0 trust in their governments or in the corporations that they are forced to do business with. So by putting land registry on the blockchain, we solve some of those challenges. And we are super proud as Bitfury to have been working with the government in the Republic of Georgia to build what is so far the world's largest blockchain solution deployed across a whole country. So what we did with the Republic of Georgia and the government there was we took their existing land registry processes and we added blockchain into the elements, which now means if you are a citizen in the Republic of Georgia, you have irrefutable proof that what oftentimes is probably going to be your most valuable asset in your life is yours. And nobody can take that away from you. The certificate can't be falsified. Thank you. One clap, you're getting a beer later on. So are you. If you all clap, you'll get some free Bitcoin. How about that? Hey! I'm joking. Force majeure, I am not allowed to say things like that. Could you scrub it, please, there in the streaming booth? But in all seriousness, what this has done in the Republic of Georgia is it's re-empowered citizens. It's given citizens the opportunity to have trust in a system without needing to trust people. And this is something that was mentioned by the wonderful panel earlier on, which is people are not really very trustworthy, unfortunately. If you see a 50-euro note on the floor and someone's watching you, you'll probably pick it up and look around to see if you should give it to someone. If you see a 50-euro note on the floor and there's no one watching you, what goes through your mind? I know all of you. What goes through your mind is, I wonder if I should keep this. So naturally, as humans, we're not very trustworthy. So with over 300,000 of the land titles in the Republic of Georgia now working on the blockchain, the citizens can have trust in something, which means they don't have to trust people. We've been doing the same in Bermuda. So Bermuda, rather like Malta, is creating a blockchain island. And we've been supporting the governments in Bermuda by building a land registry service alongside what they've already got to help them realize the vision of their blockchain strategy. And that provides similar benefits for the people who are the receivers of these land titles. But why do we focus on land registry? Well, it's really quite simple. We were explained that there was an opportunity here, which is less than 1 in 3 people around the world have the ability to prove that they own their most valuable asset. So if we say there are probably 500 people in this room, that means 130 of you, when you go home, back to your home countries, or if you live in Malta, back to your house this evening, there is a high probability that someone somewhere could change the ownership records of your house or your land, and you could have those locks changed and be out on the street without the chance to prove that you own it. It's quite shocking. And if you want a commercial incentive, that means there's about $20 trillion in capital which cannot be collateralized because you can't prove that you own it. So in the Republic of Georgia, the tangible results are that a process which previously took 3 days now takes just 10 minutes. And in the Republic of Georgia, within that business process, they estimate that they save about 90% of the costs that they were previously putting in. We've also run some projects for social good with Coca-Cola, where there was an issue in the supply chain to do with workers' rights. So we created a ledger where copies of the contracts are stored. So those workers, who oftentimes are quite lowly paid, can now have confidence that their contracts are not changed as they move up and down the supply chain, take different jobs in different places. And finally, analytics and investigation, which is super, I think, relevant to Malta at the moment. We've created an analytics tool that we call Crystal Blockchain, which allows organizations, governments, and individuals to run their own AML, their own anti-money laundering investigations into Bitcoin transactions, wallets, exchanges, and individuals, and determine the level of risk that might be associated with those particular transactions, individuals, wallets, and even exchanges. This addresses a big challenge, and one of those I'm going to show you is the final example before I say goodbye, which is where we use this tool through our analysts to look at the recent hack of the BitHum exchange. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but it was just over 2,000 Bitcoins that was stolen, and with the information that BitHum gave us, we were able to identify that those Bitcoins that were stolen went into 38 different addresses, that a number of them, nearly 2,000, were sent to a particular exchange, and that 29 were sent to a gaming company. And with that data, we could go back to BitHum and say, post-event, here is the analysis which may allow you to identify those individuals who hacked the exchange or even the wallets of the guys who are on stage later. So we leverage our nearly 9 years operational experience in the Bitcoin blockchain to bring these tools to organizations who want to help grow the ecosystem. And that concludes a quick whistle-stop tour through some of the applications that we've been building to show how blockchain can be built at massive scale. Thanks ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Finally, a big shout to Eman and the team, who I think have put on the best blockchain show in Europe this year. So well done, guys. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.